welcome back to my F1 2020 career mode for round 3 in Barcelona, round 3 of the Formula 2 Championship, and we're here for qualifying around the Catalunya circuit. So let's see what we can do. I think we are second or third in the standings. I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, here we go for qualifying. Let's see what we can do on our flying lap. First few corners, missed the apex of turn 1 a little bit. Turn 2 was decent enough. Turn 3, long sweeping right-hander, and the car just never seems to turn in enough, especially towards the exit of that corner, tending to run wide there. Turn 4, nice corner as well. This turn 4 and 5 kind of S shape I really do like, is my highlight, I think, of this track. And I made a few moves there in F1 2019 through that section of track, so we'll see if that continues in this race weekend. But through that very awkward section of track just afterwards, through the high-speed right-hander, not as high-speed in Formula 2 cars, and then into this braking zone, a good overtaking opportunity as well, and get as close as we can through that bollard on the inside. Very tricky on the traction on the exit of that corner, and now through into the final sector of the racetrack. And I believe this part of the track was updated for this game. It's a little bit more, I guess, open and not quite as awkward as it used to be. So I don't know, it definitely does feel a lot better, but whether that's placebo, I do not know. But anyway, we come across the line to complete our lap. We go fastest.
That was the fastest
and
lap. So qualifying is complete and we're all set for an exciting race tomorrow. Your top 3 are the scientist, Matsushita and Jordan King. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the feature race tomorrow, so make sure you join us there.
We absolutely smash it, but I did raise the difficulty for the race.
Hello and welcome to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. We're counting down to the start of today's race, and you can feel the excitement in the air. This promises to be a real spectacle. Here's the venue we'll be racing at, known to the teams, well known to the drivers. Many will have raced here as teenagers. We've got 16 turns, the elevation of 30 meters, and some famous moments down through the years. In commentary, I'm Alex Jakes, and I'm joined once again by 2012 GP2 champion Davide Valsecchi. Davide, I imagine you've been around this track countless times by now. Any tips for the drivers out there today?
Yeah, you're right. This is a track that has been in rotation for both Formula 1 and Formula 2 for years now. My advice is to watch your tires management. The track has a bumpy surface that can be very demanding on drivers and tires. Play it safe most of the way around, then look at the long straight into turn 1 for overtake opportunities.
Well then, after an exciting session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. An immense lap from Nobuharu Matsushita yesterday puts him on pole position, with Jordan King alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Aitken, Schumacher, Antoine Hubert, the scientist. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Alesi, Correa, Latifi, Callum ILOTT, Giotto, De Vries, Nikita Mazepin, and Boschong, Tete Camara, Boccolacci, Delatraz, and Guanyu ZHOU. Calderon, Mahavir Raghunathan starts from the back of the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
So we have been demoted down into 6th because
The rest of the grid is forming up. Be patient and watch for the lights.
during the qualifying session I did hold up someone on their fast lap, so a 5-place grid penalty was handed down. Fair enough, I suppose. But anyway, we now go to the 5 red lights, and they're out and we're underway for the feature race in Spain, and we get a ton of wheel spin off the line. We swerve in front of Alesi, and lucky not to make contact with him, but we're going to see if we can find a window around the outside of the first corner, and we're side by side with our teammate through turn 2. We have a little bump maybe between us, but keeping it clean for the most part. We're going to be on the outside though through turn 3, and it's going to be very difficult to get the move done, and he's still there on the inside as we head into turn 4, side by side with Schumacher still through turn 4, and I think around the outside here we may just be able to pull ahead, and we get the move done heading into turn 5. So a great start for us, making up a bunch of positions into P4
We're looking good so far.
after a bad initial launch. So it's not too bad for us. And next up is the MP Motorsports car of Jordan King. So let's see if we can chase him down. Not going to be close enough here as we run off the road on the exit of turn 9, but not close enough here to Jordan King. So we're going to have to just wait for an opportunity when it arises. We'll have a look at a replay of the start to see what happens at the front of the grid. It looks like a good start for Matsushita, but Aitken from the second row has a brilliant start to the inside. It's going to be side by side with Matsushita into the first corner, but Matsushita will hold on and smooth as you like maintains the lead of the race as he heads through the first sector, and he has the race under control at the moment. Oh, and we've got an issue here for Guanyu ZHOU, and he is out of the race with a mechanical failure holding up Louis Delatraz very close to contact there with Calderon, but I think they got away with it. But yeah, that is a disaster start to not only the race but the entire season for Guanyu ZHOU. A terrible qualifying today as well, so he'll be very, very disappointed with the way this season's gone so far. His rookie season in Formula 2, I might add, but Guanyu ZHOU is out of the race. So this is the onboard with Calderon. We saw a few cars were very close to contact. Delatraz moving around, also a bad qualifying for him, but you can see just avoiding contact as we go back to live pictures as we go down the inside of Jordan King, and we get the move done as we head through the final sector. And very nicely done. Now ahead of Jordan King, and we now can try to focus on closing the gap to Jack Aitken, but we've moved ourselves up into the podium positions. So let's see if we can catch up to Aitken as we try to get cleanly through this final sector. That's still that left-hander just after turn 9 is still very awkward as we get a lot of airtime off the inside curb there. I've never seen a Formula 2 car do that. That's some supercars level stuff there over the curb. But you can see right behind Jack Aitken as we head through turn 5, and we may have an opportunity into turn 9 if we can stick close enough through this.
Be aware, we expect the grip levels to start falling away soon.
Middle sector, so nice and close as we head through the right-hander of turn 9 and DRS open. And we should be able to get down the inside here, down the inside of Jack Aitken, and this should be a fairly easy move, but he tries to hold on the outside, doesn't quite get the traction on the exit though, and we make that move stick, climbing over the curbs on the inside. A lot of understeer through the next right-hander, but we get through cleanly, and we can now try to close the gap to Matsushita up ahead, but we've also got the pit stop to make in the near future as well, and that could mix things up if we're not careful on the in-laps and out-laps to be pushing.
Matsushita ahead. The gap to the car ahead is 3.8 seconds.
So speaking of which, we now come in for our one and only stop of the race, and we'll put the hard tyres on to the end as per the regulations. So into the lane we come, and let's hope that we can get a good stop, and we may be able to get an undercut on Matsushita. I don't think we'll be able to overtake him, but with an earlier stop I would imagine we should be able to gain a bit of time. So Formula 2 pit stops obviously not as quick, but we get the tyres changed within the 6 seconds, so that is pretty decent time.
Last stop. No more scheduled pit stops.
By the crew there, 5.8 seconds, and let's warm up these tyres as quickly as we can and get a move on and see if we can get an undercut on Matsushita and see if we can close the gap to him. But as we move on, Jack Aitken makes his pit stop, and he's coming out in front of us. So we've actually lost time, several seconds to Aiken. We can't quite get around the outside through the first corner, as he's very slow on the apex with the narrower entry that he has to take from the pit exit, and we just can't find a way around him. So I have lost a bunch of time behind him already. Remember, he's on cold tyres, so he will be very slow through all these corners, and this left-hander might be my last chance. So we go for a dive down the inside of Jack Aiken, and he tries to fight back on the left. Little banging of wheels between us, but we get ahead of him in the end, and that was a nice move. Aggressive down the inside, Aiken with a big lock-up, and he tried to fight back, to be fair, very close to getting that done, but we got the traction down on the exit.
Keep managing your tyres, manage your tyres.
But we move all the way along to lap 30 of this race when we catch Matsushita, and we go flying past along the straight, round the outside, but he's going to keep fighting, but we should be able to get this through, but we don't quite manage to get it done. Matsushita's still on the inside, and we run wide out into the runoff, and we have to save the car. Matsushita gets back through, so he's not going to give up without a fight, as he shouldn't, but that was our first attempt at overtaking him. Now another attempt a few laps later, and we'll see what we can do to the inside. He squeezes us almost into the pit lane, not quite the Schumacher Barrichello levels, but we do get the move done on
Great manoeuvre. You made it look easy.
Matsushita. But we'll see if we can hold this through as we run wide again through that right-hander, and that's becoming a recurring theme. Very just, I don't know, the car just sort of seems to not want to keep turning when you get halfway through that corner. But anyway, continuing on, and as we continue to push, we run a little bit deep into turn 4. Matsushita straight away pounces on the opportunity to the inside, and he gets ahead of us once again. So we need to do all the work again after just one mistake, because he has no lack of pace at this stage of the race, despite the fact that we caught him. He seems to have sped up in the latter stages of this race, so we've got just over 4 laps to try to get this move done, but no opportunity there into turn 9, so we need to stay with him as close as we can through all of these corners and try again and see if we can make the move now, as we are very fast approaching the end of this race, and still not able to make a move. Had to take a bit of avoiding action there, as we got very, very close behind him into the braking zone. But we're reasonably close now, so if we can get a good run through this final chicane, we may be able to get the move done into turn 1. So here we go through the chicane, nicely done through there. And if we can get a good run through this final corner, no, we get a pile of understeer out into the sand, and that's going to cost us an opportunity for a little bit longer. But moving on again, we're going to have another run at him as we head towards the first corner on lockup, but he still manages to make the corner fairly well on the penultimate lap of the race.
The teammate behind is 41.2 seconds.
So here we go, we're going to try and wind up for an overtake in maybe turn 9, so we're going to try to plan ahead as we get the power down really early and start trying some different lines. But Matsushita with another big lockup, as we're almost pushing him literally through turn 5, so close behind the Japanese driver in the Callum. A little bit wide though on the entry to turn 9, and we're not going to get the move done into turn 10 like I thought I might, but we go for a move down the inside anyway into turn 10, and Matsushita with the switchback and manages to hold position ahead of us. So a desperate move for us as we slide through the next few corners in the last sector, and Matsushita holds on to the lead. So let's see if we can make one last attempt on the final lap of the feature race here in Barcelona. So let's go for it and see what we can do. A good exit onto the straight in the DRS in the slipstream,
Final lap of the race.
but we're a long way back for what the slipstream may be worth here, and we're not going to be close enough for a move into the first corner, but late on the brakes, and we close right up to the back of the Callum, and we'll see if we can stay this distance behind through the middle sector and try to make that move into turn 10 like we tried last lap, and if we're a bit closer we will be able to make it stick. So here we go, turn 4. This is the important part. We might actually be able to make a move around the outside here, not quite, but we are definitely having the grip advantage at this point. Matsushita's tyres may be falling off a bit. We've seen the lockups, so that could be costing him as well. But let's see what we can do. This is the important part of the track. So close behind him again through this section, just about pushing him through, and we're going to try and line it up through here, and a decent exit here, and we have the DRS, we have the slipstream as we head towards turn 10. Down the inside we go into turn 10, and we're going to just miss the apex though, and Matsushita with another switchback is going to take the position back, and I think that is it unless we can get a good run out of the final corner. We are still right on the gearbox of the Callum, and we'll see, because there still may be an opportunity as we're pushing the absolute limits through the final few corners. Massive aggression over the curbs, throwing everything we can at it, and through the final corner we get a brilliant run in the slipstream. DRS, run to the line, but it's not going to be enough, and he holds on.
Good job, you did really well. Super driving.
What a drive from Matsushita to hold on there at the end of the race. We get driver of the day for a bit of a consolation prize, I suppose, but
A great win then for the Callum team today. And Davide Valsecchi, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
The difference was in the strategy. Credit to the driver for sure, but races like this really drive home how much of a team sport this is. They did a lot of work on the pit wall to really make the most of each stint and to make the best use of the tires. But that said, all of that would have been for nothing without a talented hand on the wheel.
And there you have it, today's winners. Having raised some of the biggest names in F1 to date, Callum have once again shown their expertise when it comes to recruiting new talent. No doubt today's winners have a bright future ahead of them. They certainly deserve it after today's performance.
so Nobuharu Matsushita takes the race win. We grab second place, and it is going to be Aitken rounding out the podium in this one.
And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. The gap at the top of the championship has been cut down after a difficult race for our championship leader. Now then, Davide Valsecchi, who would you say was your driver of the day?
It's a difficult call, but I'm going to give it to the Prema driver. There was a lot of going on down the field. There's no question for me. They were the best.
And now a look at the team standings. It was a tough race for our championship leaders, who lose ground at the top of the table. Meanwhile, good work from Campos this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Goodbye for now then, but we really are just getting started. Make sure you join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
Alright, what an end to that race, but actually, well, what a start as well, that said, battling side by side with Schumacher through the first sector, but yeah, Schumacher will actually be on the front row in the reverse grid race. He finished down in 7th, so he will be in contention to win the next race if he can get off the line well. Ralph Boschung is on reverse grid pole, and I believe Hubert Correa ILOTT will be in amongst it as well. So both of ZHOU's cars are running well in this one. Incidentally, I don't think Dams have scored a single point in this season, which is very, very strange to say the least. They, I think, won the team's championship in real life, but no luck for them at all in this season so far. So yeah, that is very, very weird to see. But yeah, back to talking about this race though. A great battle throughout the end of this race with Matsushita, but he unfortunately had what it took in the end, and we just made a few desperate moves and a few mistakes at the wrong time, and he was able to make the most of that and come home with the race win. I think we got the fastest lap for what that's worth. And I don't actually remember that mistake just there, but that happened at some point. But yeah, what else to say about this race? Guanyu ZHOU, a disaster season for him so far as well. ZHOU, also a very good driver. In real life, we haven't seen too much of him in this season. I think at the start of... No, we didn't even see him at the start of this race. I'm getting confused. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next race.
And we're back. After yesterday's feature race, the top 8 drivers have been reversed on the grid, setting up some exciting action as we launch into today's event, the sprint race. Alongside me today, I'm delighted to welcome back to the commentary box the 2012 GP2 champion, Davide Valsecchi. There looks to be a challenging race ahead of the drivers today, Davide. With that in mind, what are you looking out for today?
Well, Alex, I want to see how the drivers at the back of the grid are going to roll down. They'll need to make an impact in the early stages, and they're probably hoping for a bit of luck at the start. We may see some bold maneuvers out there today.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
I will not let you down. Probably. But anyway, no-stop strategy, of course, in the sprint race. And we'll be starting from 7th position. And as I mentioned, Boschung and Schumacher will be on the front row of the grid. So here we go to 5 red lights. And away we go for the sprint race here in Barcelona. And a look at the start from Matsushita, already gaining 1 and maybe 2 positions ahead of us, and now side by side with Aiken as we go very cautiously into the first corner. I just completely missed where the corner was, and we're now battling away with ZHOU as I slightly foiled a moment ago, but we get ahead of him and now trying to make the move on Aiken or Matsushita, but we're not going to find an opportunity in this section of the track, so we just need to try and get maybe a switch back here and a run towards turn 5, but they're still side by side, so there's not really anywhere for us to go. We're going to try to sit right behind Matsushita, and we're going to believe in him.
Focus now for the rest of the race.
And that plays out for us, that he ends up moving ahead of Aiken, and we follow through before Aiken had a chance to defend the line. So some high IQ strategy definitely there, not just a coincidence. But anyway, we now putting pressure on Matsushita as we head into turn 10. Not going to make the move though, not close enough, and on the wrong side of the track. Early stages of the race as well, so no need to take those sorts of risks into turn 9. At this point, we'll just see what we can do in a more traditional overtaking place like turn 1. So here we go, trying to line it up, but fairly slow run through the chicane, so that might not give us the opportunity we want, and a lot of understeer through the final corner, and there we lose that opportunity. But we head through turn 4, and we'll see if we can close up and maybe make a move here as we get some nice drive on the exit, and we're going to go all the way around the outside of not just Matsushita but also Callum ILOTT as well. So a double overtake around the outside, and almost in the grass on the outside as we head into the next corner. But we do get ahead of Callum ILOTT and make that double overtake work through the middle sector. And now we can try and chase down the championship leader, Juan Manuel Correa. So let's see what we can do. But he is currently in a cracking battle with Ralph Boschung through the first few corners. So Boschung not having quite the race he would have wanted, starting from the reverse grid pole. And he is under pressure from the American. So So let's see if we can maybe follow him through, but it's not going to work. We go all the way around the outside of Boschung and not quite being able to make the move there. We're going to go down the inside into turn 5, and we should be able to move ahead of the Swiss driver in the Trident, and we do that and move ourselves up into P4. Next up is Correa, and like I said, championship leader, so we need to make the move on him as quickly as we can, because he is very speedy, it would seem. So here we go with the DRS. That's going to help us close up to the back of him, and you can see under the into the braking zone here, we gain quite a lot of time, but in the traction zones, not quite as good. But we should be able to stay close enough to him through here to maintain DRS range and maybe make a move into the first corner if we can get a good run through this final chicane. But it's so slow and awkward still. Definitely not as bad as it used to be, I don't think, but it still just doesn't work out for us, and Correa gets away. But eventually we do get a good run out of the final corner, and we're going to squeeze past on the left hand side of the main straight, and into the braking zone. We're going to outbrake Correa, and we'll head through round it the outside and take third position. And now we need to try and chase down Hubert, but before that Jordan King has a mechanical failure, and that will be the end of his day. So unfortunate for Jordan King. He scored quite a lot of points in the early stages of this championship, but not the feature race he was looking for. He started a long way back in this one too, so he may have had some issues in the last race as well. But now down the inside of Hubert for second position. Run a little bit too deep though, and we have to take to the runoff area. Hubert gets back through as we bounce across the road and get back on to the racetrack. So Hubert holding on to second position for now as we head through the middle sector. Safety car.
No overtaking, reduce your pace.
And that is because the other ZHOU's car of Callum ILOTT has had a mechanical failure, and unfortunately for him it was not just that, because contact with another car on the final corner, and that's put some damage on one of the Tridents, I believe, as well, which I think is a Lacey, because Boschung was ahead of him. So we'll have a look on board with a Lacey, and ILOTT just turning back onto the road a little bit, going slowly, much like Hamilton and Albon in my last career mode in F1 2019. But anyway, now on the safety car restart, putting the pressure on Hubert, and we should be able to make a move into the first corner if we can brake late enough down the inside of Hubert, and we make that move nicely on the Frenchman and move ourselves up into P2. Just our teammate ahead of us now as we head through the first sector through turn 3 and actually make the corner for a change. So that's nice, but now it takes us a long time.
Mick is really pushing hard now. He's just put in the fastest lap of the race.
To catch up to Schumacher. Fastest lap of the race for him, but you can see he's still right there in front of us. So we need to push super hard to keep up with our teammate. He's got every opportunity to win his first race today. So let's see what we can do to try to finish ahead of him and maybe take the lead of the championship if we can get those extra points. I believe we're not in the lead where we sit at the moment. But anyway, we move on, and we do make the move on Schumacher to the outside of the first corner with only a few laps to go left in this race. Around the outside of turn 1, Schumacher still on the inside, but we make the move and get ahead into the lead of the race on the penultimate lap of the race. So not long left as we run a little bit wide on the exit, but it is not over because through turn 9, just a little bit too eager on the power, run wide, and Schumacher is not going to need a second invitation. He goes to the outside, around the outside as we head into turn 10. We go deep under the brakes to try and hold the position, but Schumacher with a switchback, and he gets the move done and moves himself back up into the lead as we throw it into the next few corners trying to make up the time. And it's just all gone a bit wrong for us there with the mistake. So unfortunately we will need to do all the work again on the final lap of the race, trying to line up this final corner and get a nice slingshot onto the straight. We'll have the DRS and a bit of slipstream to help us, but we're a long way back. So let's see what we can do as we line it up to the inside. No, yes, and we go down the inside, but we can't quite get a stop. Schumacher gets back through. We hop over the speed bumps once again, and Schumacher with a big gap to us now. But again, I think he has hit some bigger tyre wear than what I have, because we do catch up by the time we get through turn 9, and DRS again along the next straight, but he defends right to the inside, and I didn't feel like taking that small gap, so around the outside we go, switch back to the inside, but on the exit a pile of wheel spin, and we just have to save the car, and that's going to be it, and there's no more opportunities. So it's going to be Mick Schumacher who takes the first race win of his Formula 2 career here in Spain in the sprint race, and we're going to hold on for P2.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
Driver of the day again.
So another excellent win from Prema. And I have to wonder, Davide Valsecchi, just what set them apart from the competition here.
It was down to one thing: consistent pace over everyone else out there on the track. We could spend a great deal of time talking about race and gyro strategy, what else occurred on the track, but at the end of the day, the difference here was down to simply being faster on track than everyone else. Amazing skill on show.
As we look back on a thrilling race here today, we can now see the drivers take their places on the podium. It's a familiar sight by now, as it's another successful F2 win for Prema.
So it's Mick Schumacher on the top step of the podium. We make it a Prema 1-2, and Hubert brings home a podium for the Ardennes team in third position.
So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Challenge. It was not the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. And so, driver of the day then, Davide Valsecchi, who do you think you'd go for?
It's a difficult call, but I'm going to give it to the Prema driver. They demonstrated a very delicate touch in the wheel-to-wheel situation. They showed maturity and patience.
On to the teams then. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. Meanwhile, Ardennes' strong weekend allows them to continue their march up the table. After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
Alright, thanks Alex Jakes for that, but I'd say that was a pretty decent race, P7 to P2, not quite being able to get Schumacher on the line, but 2 second places in a Formula 2 race weekend is pretty decent, as we all run to the first corner in the replay, but yeah, I think we probably we probably could have won both races, to be honest, if we got the move done. But yeah, a few too many little mistakes through turn 9 and indeed through the final corner as well. And they cost us too much time, really, and a lot of opportunities to make the move that we wanted to. So yeah, a little bit disappointing that we couldn't come away with a win in either race, but yeah, 2 second place finishes has put us right into title contention, especially with Correa finishing a little bit further down the order in each race. So yeah, it's not certainly not all bad news for us this weekend, as we yeah, we close to just a few points away from Correa. The safety car definitely helped us in this race, because if we didn't have that, we would have had no chance of catching Schumacher. He was miles ahead of us before that safety car came out, so safety car or not, I think it would have been P2 for us. Yeah, Schumacher had piles of pace in the early stages, and maybe that's why he was a bit slow at the end. He may have burnt up his tyres and couldn't use that air cushion that he had as the safety car. Remove that as we make a nice move on Hubert. And he tried to come back at us there. Actually, I didn't notice that at the time, but didn't quite get back alongside. But anyway, Kramer 1-2. So for the team's championship, for what that's worth in F2, that's pretty huge. So let's see if we can maybe contend for that as well this season. But yeah, other than that, I will say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you for the next episode in a few days. Thank you, and goodbye.